All the best.
Very warm good evening to one and all who's present here. Myself, Indu Rajendran, and hope everyone is safe and with a good health. So today we have our very special guest, this is Dr. Mani sir, who's been into the webinar session today. He's our Vice President, Institution Development and a mentor across the group. Warm welcome for a webinar session, sir.
Thank you.
Moving on to the speaker, I would like to welcome Ms. Vidya Raghu, a founder, Skill Guru and Himalaya Calling. She is listed among 25 influential women in India by the CEO magazine for her work in the field of training, education, and corporate learning. She is an international trainer and a keynote speaker. She is a leading L&D specialist and corporate facilitator and a certified business mentor and behavioral strategist. She is an award-winning entrepreneur, conferred with numerous awards at national and international platforms like Women of Excellence, Women Economic Forum, Delhi, and Helen Joe Food Award and Indian Lifestyle Awards, etc. A very warm welcome to you, ma'am. So we can proceed with our session, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for the wonderful welcome, and welcome to all the participants who've taken the time to really work on and listen to this topic on personal innovation. Thank you, Mani sir, for the
opportunity. You're
welcome. Sorry to interrupt you. As per our flow, I would request Mani sir to give a forewords.
Yes, please.
All right, sorry to interrupt, but I couldn't resist this. I must say this to all of you who are present here. A warm welcome from ITM. I guess I don't need to say warm. It must be extremely warm in Chennai and anywhere else in South India as it is all over the country. This entire approach to learning digital, I think, is something which has been the major advantage of COVID, if I might say so. Otherwise, the whole country is in a state of shock, unable to cope up, not knowing what to do. And it's a huge problem that all of us are going through. But nevertheless, that has been a positive thing. And I must say that all of you who are present here today are very lucky to have Vidya in our mix today. She is not only a person who preaches a lot of things on personality, self-development, leadership, effectiveness in building one's career, but she also practices it. And trust me, this combination is very rare to find among professionals. And very often these debates go on endlessly that, faculty only preach and the industry professionals, they actually practice. But Vidya could be an ideal example of someone who actually does both. I must share this with you with a lot of pride because she is one of those Indian facilitators, Indian women entrepreneurs who has perhaps lent her services to about 10 countries till date. Has to her very rare credit that she must have trained at least about 3,000 trainers. Now this is amazing because training is one side of it, but developing trainers is, I think, a huge challenge. Because in the process, you're multiplying the knowledge process. And I would estimate by any standard, she would have covered at least about 1.5 to 2 lakhs of trainees who have benefited by her sessions. So as I said somewhere, it's really good luck and God bless to all of us that you have this rare chance to listen to somebody who is very passionate about training, who's very passionate about sharing. And one word of advice to everybody whom I think in this room would be perhaps younger than me, considering the gray hair on my beard, that is, please at every stage of life, add value to yourself. There could be a process where education could be a full stop, but learning can never be a full stop. Never ever stop learning. And the more you learn, the more you'll add value to yourself. The more you add value to yourself, you're adding value to society. And this is what makes the world a better place to live in. Vidya here is a lovely example of what I was just trying to share you. Pleasure having you with us, Vidya. I wanted to say this about you and therefore I took the liberty of poking in. Over to you, Vidya, and happy learning to all you kids and hope you do well in your careers. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for the golden words that to coming from all seniors. I think that's where we've all learned it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Add the maximum value to all these listeners here today. So just going into, I'll just do my screen share so that I can, I think you'll have to allow me to host the screen share.
Indu, just allow her to do her screen share.
Gulshan, could you please give me the host access so that I can do that?
Okay, so while you do that, for the listeners to begin with, so Sir said so many things about now. I just want to, while all this is going on, share about the story. So when I was born, as you know, my name is Vidya, and when I was born, I was, in this hospital ward, and this little girl comes running to my mom, and she's like, Auntie, what name have you kept for her? And she was like very small, I think 4 or 5 year old, and my mom said, no, not yet. She's just born. So she just again turned back and she was running, and she turned back and she told my mom, either keep her name Donkey or keep her name Vidya. And she ran away. So they had no choice to do, any other naming except they were like scared, oh my God, not Donkey. So let me keep Vidya. And that's how I got my name. But, why this topic of personal innovation factor? Because actually I started as the donkey part, right? Till I could really work on this personal innovation factor and actually turn it around to today, people saying that, yeah, you match your name or your name matches you. So, but that's all because you need to really work on your own strategies. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So personal innovation factor is not some big stuff, but it's something which is life changing. It's something which can really help us move to whatever we want to become. So if, that's exactly where I'm very passionate about, and I know each one of us can really become what we want to become. So I think have you done the screen?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It is done.
Just a moment. Okay, so here this is again a story that was mine, and now this is a new one. So there were two friends, and they were like really, really close friends. And after college, as many of you, they parted and they were in different cities. And one fine day, one of these, friends called the other and say, "Guys, we should really meet and go for a long drive." So they both start from different cities in two cars, and come to one highway where they can drive together and go off for a nice fun. But in the middle of the journey, they had a heated argument, and in that argument, they were like again closed off, and they both boarded their cars and they started to move. As soon as they started their car and started to move, one friend called the other friend, and he was like, "Buffalo, buffalo, buffalo." Right? Can you all see it? Can you all see the buffalo?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yeah, and just while he was shouting buffalo, 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 what happened to the other guy? They had a heated argument, and the other guy got really, really furious, and he said, "You called me buffalo, you buffalo, your family buffalo, blah, blah, blah," and all of that. And while all of this was happening, this is what happened, right? So it's just 10% of what's happening to us, 90% of what we really make of it. So in the next 40 minutes that, we're going to share right now, interacting, learning, listening, it's only a trigger of, what's happening around, but how we really going to use it, how each of us is going to make the maximum of it is truly on us. So I really wish, it's not about me here. It's not about, Sir here, Gulshan here, all of us putting so much of work and energy here, but it's about each one of you on how you're going to use this to turn around your life. So that's me. And that's where the whole journey began. And why personal innovation factor? Because I want to stay like this, just have fun, but at the same time, contribute and have a lot of value created every moment. So how do I do that? That's where I started looking at saying, how's the future going to look like? If I'm happy right now and I'm going to have all this fun, what's the way forward? Like next 5 years, next 10 years. And that's something which is very important for all of us. Because just right now, if you look at COVID, it's like by God's grace, I would say like it's really dismantled the whole world right now. Everything is shaken away. In fact, we had almost 10 global projects in the last 3-4 months, and all of them are cancelled. But actually, if you see, our growth is only multifolded. Like It's not dipped, it's actually multiplied for us despite all the challenges. Why? Because we're constantly looking this way, forward, what's happening. So I truly believe the best way to know the future is to actually invent it, is to really walk with it rather than let it happen to you. So that's what, why this personal innovation factor is going to be very, very useful for you, because when things are going to be off there trying to hit you, you would be actually using it to move forward. And why are we even talking about it today? Specifically today, I think, just pre-COVID and post-COVID, it's actually become more rapid. But before that itself, there was a lot of rise towards the shared value and the gigs economy. Shared value, most of you will know if I just name the brands like Uber and Swiggy. It's earlier, we were also into the food business earlier. And if one restaurant had to deliver, they had to have their own delivery guys, but that's not true today. Today, you can have one guy sharing, multiple outlets and multiple deliveries. So it's actually gone into shared value. Like people today are preferring to take a, Uber share, like in the same car, 4 people, 4 strangers. So we're moving towards a shared value. At the same time, it's driving a gigs economy. Now, for many of you who may not have heard of the term gigs economy is nothing but specifically skill driven, specifically task driven. For example, if I want a certain task, I reach out to the people who are experts in that or who can really deliver and get only that done. Right? So similar to like what Swiggy or Uber, where they don't really own the employees. They just, say this is the work, and if you're interested, come for so much time. This is the arrangement. So it's more contractual. It's more on the freelance model. It's more on the model where, it's more flexi, and it's a give and take model. So gone are the days when, it was one job and it was all about going to office. It's no more about going to office. It's actually about coming down and being able to really deliver on what you started with. So the trends abroad, India follows a lag market in most of the industries. The trends abroad already, there is a lot of movement towards the gigs, and especially, 51% of the companies which have been using the gigs are talking about how it's only going to rise. But how is it about India? Now, India, interestingly, has become the 5th largest country for flexi staffing, which you can think of saying, okay, maybe it's just smaller jobs, maybe it's the baseline jobs which are actually being outsourced, or maybe it's going into contracts, but it's not true. Even some of the largest companies, if you look at the second stats, 72% of the large corporates and professional services firms were also engaged in gigs, which is they were taking in resources from outside on time basis or project basis, and not really having them on board like an full-time employee. This trend is only going to increase. So it's it's a very interesting joke that maybe your grandfather would have said, I had one job in a lifetime and then I retired. And your fathers may have said that I may have had 6 jobs that I changed. But we might be walking into a future where you might have 6 jobs at the same time. It is based on the skill and the kind of things that you want to experiment with. So, very interestingly, earlier when we were in school and college, we were constantly told there's a lot of competition. How will you succeed? How will you succeed? But today, competition is not local or global. It's like quantum leaps. What do I mean by quantum leaps? Because competition can come from anywhere. It need not be the person in your class. It need not be the person in your company. It need not be the person in your country. It could be from anywhere, and it need not be a human being itself. We already have humanoids. We already have Sophia, who's got a citizenship as well. They are even technology-driven, techniques and methods, and which can definitely take you out of the game. So competition can come from anywhere, which means that there is, before a certain demand, there are going to be multiple options available to those who are going to, need a service. So if you look at this, there's going to be too much available. But how are you going to make sure, like even right now, in the COVID, something very interesting happened was everybody got online with online courses, online, things, selling. The whole place was so much noise. And how do you find out which one is really required for you? How do you know which one is really going to deliver? Because everybody is using the similar template. One person goes out and says, this is the way to do. In India, we have a method of, 1,000 times, do a photocopy and print it out fast. So it's like how China is very good at manufacturing. We are like very, very fast at, replicating the models and doing the servicing. So how do you distinguish yourself in such a market where everybody is trying to do what may work? And very importantly, for the guy who are going to hire, it's going to be about collaborations. Maybe you think I have it all, but when he looks at it from a task perspective, maybe you have a little and somebody else has a little. It's going to be ultimately collaboration as a key. And earlier, workplaces, for many of us, who are used to the previous corporate workplaces, there used to be hierarchies. There would be something called seniors will look like this, juniors will look like this, but it's not going to be so going forward, because it's going to be a skill driven industry, a task driven industry. It's going to be a total mix, all age groups, any generation, could be any gender, all mixes, because the idea is to get the output. The idea is not about who's doing it, right? So with all of that, what's going to be very critical is what is your identity in such a market which is going to be so crowded and all visible. Earlier days, visibility was a challenge, but it's not going to be all visible. Anybody can access anybody across the world, right? Right now, I don't know many of you, don't know me, but we can access each other because of platforms, because of technology. So, just to support the whole thing, if you see, the future of jobs, like the World Economic Forum reports are very interesting because they work with a lot of organizations to predict what's happening. If you watch here, there are trends in industries and jobs going up and going down. And every 2-3 years, if you see, it's going to rapidly change. There is going to be different disruptions in different industries and it will rapidly change. So, I think some 7 years back, I had a student and he came and he said, he's like been looking at the biotech space for a long time, and literally the family actually sold off their properties and put that guy into a very good course in, abroad, like for biotech and all of that. And after 3 years, like, after pursuing all of that, he's back in India, and I was like having a conversation with him and he was like, no, actually, it looked like, everybody said biotech is going to be the next big thing, but it's not for everyone. It's like the kind of jobs which are available are totally R&D jobs. Like in India, we don't have so much of manufacturing. We don't have so many jobs where we could really use our expertise. So there was so much out in the media about biotech, but when you came to actual reality in the market, the requirement versus what they studied and the kind of jobs available did not match. So we cannot, going forward, just go based on trends. So I think most, even our generation, we pursued careers, like most of the people with me, we took up careers based on engineering is going to be great, successful, medical is going to be great, successful. That's not how the trend is today. So can we really rely on all these changing trends in different industries and say, okay, this is going to be the next big thing? Because you cannot predict. I don't know if many of you still know, we had something called the pager technology just before the mobiles. And it looked like it's going to be the next big thing, but it was just gone off in a few months when the mobile technology came in and everybody had a handset. So going by these trends, it's really not a big wise thing to keep looking at only the newspapers and news around. And that is only one part of the game where we know what's happening in the market and how it's changing. But the more critical parts is what we're going to talk about today. So definitely change is happening and we cannot avoid it, like how COVID just happened and the whole world was, taken aghast. We just had no idea, but we need to be able to see that. But at the same time, how do we build ourselves ever ready for it? Right? So how can we remain relevant and valuable in any market, whether the industry is going up, down, all of that. So that's where personal innovation factor, which is how do you constantly innovate yourself? How do you stay in the innovation game to be part of the market becomes very important. Now, I think most of you know innovation. Is there an age or an eligibility for innovation? When I speak to a lot of students, in engineering and other, arts and science, innovation is something that we think is very big. It's something which is for, geeks, which is for experts, but it's not really true. So I want to just quickly show you this video. Who can... Can any of you tell me what's the age at which people can start innovating? So can you see the video?
No, ma'am, we couldn't. We are just still stuck with the presentation.
Okay, okay, 1 second. Just a moment. Can you see the video now?
Yes, ma'am, we can.
So if you see this, this is the 9-year-old whose parents keep scolding him because when he uses a washroom, he doesn't flush it. And that's the whole concept of innovation, like looking at saying, okay, this is the problem, this is the challenge, this is what is happening around me, and how do I enhance it? Like, what can I do? Can I just let it happen to me, like the bull hitting me, what you saw in the first, or do I do something about it? And what he did was something so simple and so cute. Like, all he did is keep a buzzer or alarm system every time that he gets up from the washroom, the closet. The alarm goes off and he remembers to just flush. So it's just as simple as that. Again, like a lot of people talk about, maybe I'll have the link shared, there's another simple video like this where it's a uneducated person who's a street vendor. Basically the corn that when you buy corn from these street vendors, they have a fan, like they keep doing it manually. And with whatever basics he had, like he's designed a fan which is actually now a
Vidya, ma'am, we couldn't hear you. Guys, there's a little network connection issues over here. It will be resumed in just 1 or 2 minutes.
Sorry about that. I think there was a huge network issue and power issue combination. Okay, so can I get back to the
Ma'am,
topic?
there is a little disturbance in your audio.
Am I audible? Is it better now?
It's better now. Your video was
Better.
stuck.
Okay, no problem. So I think just do a screen share. So just let me know in case it's just stuck.
Sure, ma'am.
So we're talking about innovation. There is no age for innovation, and there is really no stage for innovation, and there is no particular, patient or anything for innovation. It's about a mindset. About a mindset where you don't want to end up being part of the problem. You want to move towards being a solution. And if we can make the same thing for our own lives,
Still there is a
where
disturbance in your
anything
voice, ma'am.
happens, more constantly part of the solution, constant moving in that direction, then automatically, solution can never stop. It will keep moving. You will also keep.
நானா வழியா பேசின்னு இருக்கிறேன், எனக்கு கம்முன்னு போறீங்களா கட்டுக்காத.
Dear participants, apologies for the technical issue which is caused. So until Vidya ma'am will be getting back, so we'll just have a quick chat interactions with you all. As per the topic is innovation is a factor here. So just post your thoughts in the chat box that according to your perception, what is all about innovation.
Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are.
Perfect. Okay. All right. Sorry so much. I think there's a huge breakdown here in terms of the entire area. I think they've had a issue with the power and network. I hope this continues. Oh, okay. So you can see the screen?
Yes, ma'am, we can.
Perfect. Great. Thank you so much for, I think, shaping forward with, what's happening here. So as I was sharing, right? So without sharpening your weapon, standing on the battlefield doesn't increase our chances of winning. So I think one of the major learnings right now I had is, with so much of everything going online global, we have to find some foolproof ways for, data to be constantly on despite any challenges. So moving next. So what's the difference between innovation and personal innovation? So innovation, as we know, is always about introducing something new, new methods, new products, new ways, new services. But when we apply the same principle to our own lives, to how we adapt to things, how we are risk ready, or how we experience, being in the flow, like when you're really doing something which pulls the best out of you. And one of the very essential beauties of personal innovation is it's not like a moment, it's not like a one thing, it's not a one time. It's a constant journey, multiple activities. It's just like innovation, where it's not like suddenly you have this and it's like done. You have to constantly, keep working on it, constantly move it in such a way that, when you look at something innovative, where is the concept of competition? Competition will slowly creep in, but if you are someone who's constantly moving, you will again outbeat competition. So that's something very, very important for all of us today, looking at new ways of careers. And what's actually driving the current market? It's going to be completely skill driven, and it is going to be tech enabled. Like, it's not going to be tech as a choice, but tech as the base. So this was very interesting, when they had this World Economic Forum again, when they had the summit and so many bankers came. They said we're a technology company that is into banking. And that's how the world is going today. So banking has become fintech, food has become food tech, cable, multiplex, all those things that we had when we were children is all gone into tech-based and functional enabled. If that's how things are going, then who are you? How are you going to transform? So if you look at this, whole question mark of you in the future, if you start designing it through who you are, like, through what are the things that you have. For example, banking did not innovate itself to become retail, or banking did not innovate itself to become food. Banking is banking, but it actually leveraged technology and everything else which is innovating to be able to become fintech, right? So it's not like you are going to bring something from outside. You are going to use what you have to what is coming all the time to become what is possible. So let me share a few personal innovation journeys from, very interesting ones. So let me talk about this gentleman in the center. Anybody knows him? Anyone? Okay, so without, I think, taking much time. So his name is Sudhanshu Mani. I think one of the assets that India has. This gentleman is retired now. But if you know, there is a train called Train 18, which is one of India's, wonderful innovations for the railways.
because it was a high-tech, rail system that we were working on. And there were so many quotations from abroad, and they were all asking for 4 years timeline and, like huge budget and everything. This gentleman was heading ICF that time, like he was actually heading railways, the Indian Railways, and he knew about the ICF facility, which people know is large, but it was, totally locked under all this bureaucratic systems and all of that. And he heard about it, and he said, like, he walked up to the finance minister that time, and he said, we don't have to give this to anybody outside. We know we really require this. And this innovation is basically a, driverless engine system, the Train 18. It's a complete new innovation where, right from the design to how the train works, everything is completely efficient. And he went up to the finance minister and he said, like, we don't have to rely on anybody outside. We have the abilities to innovate. So when he, presented the plan, people asked him, you don't have a world-class facility. You don't have the best things. How are you going to do it? He said, I know what we have, and then I will bring what is needed and we will do it. So what was quoted as 4 years, actually we finished it in 18 months. And that's why it's called Train 18. And if you look at the journey, those of you who are in Chennai will know when he was here, ICF as an area got transformed. Places which were like all, you would not even go near it, were transformed back into lakes and, water bodies. And the whole factory was like, an art masterpiece. So that it is about that person who is there. And the beauty was this gentleman is from North who did not know Tamil, but coming down here, he not just created Train 18, he actually created a team of women, a full women's team, which is, I think, the only team in India, I mean, actually abroad, but the only team which can put a full train compartment, from scratch together, like just a set of women. It's called the Nari Shakti team. So if you look at personal innovation is about people who are, no matter where they are, they're constantly bringing something new, which was not there before. We all knew about ICF, but right now the whole country knows about ICF as its potential because it's not something ready-made. He took what was there and he actually transformed it to become something so amazing for India and extremely humble, constantly working. So I'll tell you what actually leads to that. But just to remember, he's an inspiring story of how you can take anything you have at hand and convert it into world-class material. Similarly, I want to tell you about this girl here. If you can see, in this picture, these are all my students from different parts of the world. And many of them are business entrepreneurs. The lady here is 67-year-old, and she started her business, last year after our program. The lady, below her, that's, an interesting story. So again, as a child, she wasn't interested in studies, and, she was very fascinated towards art. But she did not want to become the typical artist, who draws paintings and all of that. And she was, though she was pursuing it, she was constantly looking at what do I really want to do? And when I shared with her about this personal innovation journeys, I was telling her, what it takes. And she realized that, she loves working with people and she loves art. And what she loves in art is she likes to do it in different surfaces. And while we were talking, I'll share with you what comes, but while we were talking, she came upon this, whole thing of what she needs to do. And today she's one of the leading celebrity tattoo artists. And what she does is she brings a whole new different dimension to tattooing because of her love for art, people, and science. So if you look at, she's unbeatable in her space because of personal innovation journey. And the same, if you look at here, if some of you can see it, in the pic in between is Rajnikant sir. I don't know how many of you know his own personal innovation journey. A lot of people know him as a success story, where he was, a conductor and then he became one of the superstars. But the other part of the story is, I know another very senior business leader who used to be his, parallel, like neighbor, roommate in one of the lodges where, they studied as students and they were there. And he used to say, like, he was so silent, like nobody would talk to him and he would be so silent, but every single day, he will change his style. Every single day he will do something different. So he was like this very different guy, which, nobody knew about. But if you look at both of them, they had huge transformation. Today, one of them is one of our country's leading business leaders, and the other one is a superstar. And both of them started with what they had, but they constantly worked on themselves on this whole concept of personal innovation journey, which I'm going to talk to you about. So personal innovation journey is not about, you having some big stuff. It's about what you have begin there. What does it take for you to really drive this personal innovation in future markets and be ready? So first of all, it's a combination of three things. Skills. What kind of skills? Cell skills. Now, cell skills means social, emotional, learning skills. What kind of skills would you really develop and have, which will help you move around with people, which will help you really, be in teams which are strangers to you, right? Tech skills. What is it that you can really technically do? Something. For example, I have loads of things that I'm exposed to, but technically, if you ask me, there are a couple of industries, couple of hand-picked skills which only I can do, or maybe I'm an expert on. Project working skills, which is, earlier days, people used to say, I'm going to a job, I'm going in the morning, I can come back in the evening. But now it's not like that. It's going to be time-based. It's going to be driven by, the project fundamentals. You start something, you finish something in a certain way. Do you have that skill? Executive functioning skills. What all does it take to get something complete efficiently? And the practical skills. You know something. How will it practically get applied, right? The next one is traits. Traits is what do you have in you, how you work, like what are these things about you? How much awareness you have. Now, there are three parts to awareness. How much awareness you have about yourself, how much awareness you have about things around you, and how much awareness do you have about what's happening, right? What's happening is what's happening around you. What are the challenges? What's happening around you is the market, like, what's the movement? What is the kind of new things coming in? And what is it about you? What are your own strengths? What are your own weaknesses? What works with you? What doesn't work with you? How curious you are. When you look at something, do you just accept it? Do you just take it? Or do you actually ask, how does it happen? Why does it happen? Creativity. When you see something, do you look at it in different ways? Do you look at other ways to do it? And do you have the courage to challenge? When somebody says this is the way it's done, do you look at, is there another way to do it? Or is this the only way to do it? And the most important, I would say, is resourcefulness. Resourcefulness is, a lot of people, think when I have it, I will be able to do it. It's not that. It's not about having anybody who's achieved anything in the world. It's not about they had something, they were able to access it. Resource is having it, but resourcefulness is being able to reach it, being able to use it. Like, you don't have it, but you can access it and you can use it. So these traits, when you develop in yourself ongoingly, they become like a magnet which will draw opportunities to you. And to be able to use these things, the most important is your mindset. Now, when the word itself says, right, mindset, is your mind like set? Does it say life is like this? This is how it works. The moment you use such words, like this is it, this is how it works, that's the way it is going to be. It's a set. But when you're fluid, anything can happen. You can accept it, you can watch it, you can work with it. Mindset is about being able to move with the flow, having a hope that things can be done, having that confidence that you can move it. So mindset is something very, very critical. Consistency. Again, personal innovation is not about suddenly one day you wake up and you see, oh, post-COVID jobs are not going to be the same. It's not doing something then. It's about doing something every day, consistently. And intersection, this is my favorite. Intersection is personal innovation or innovation doesn't happen in one direction. It happens when multiple things intersect. I will show you about that later. Learnability. Learnability is how much can you pick up new things fast? How much can you start to use new things that are happening around you? When you combine these three aspects, right, and you bring them together, people can see it, the world around you can experience it as your behavior. And that behavior is what draws those opportunities to you. And that's what actually creates the results, right? And in behavior, there are like, unconscious and conscious behaviors. And one of the very, very important things is for you to know that, what's really going to differentiate you from others is your own behavior. To give you a small example, if any of you know about it, we have genes, like we call about the DNA and all of that. What is the difference between, so many people that we have on the planet? What is the difference between any two individuals at any given point of time? 99.9% it's same. 99.9% it's same, which means we are so different, but actually we are same. Then where is that 0.01 difference? It is in the way we express, and that expression is what we call behavior, or what we call, when you understand what is that difference that you have, that is when you can change your game. How different are you from others? What are your own skills? What are your own strengths? So, before every individual looks at personal innovation, we need to know where we are. What do I have? Where am I starting? What are these things that I have? So identifying these things and then being able to sharpen them, that's where we'll be able to, start with personal innovation. And then when we look at it and match it with the industries that need it, that is where you'll be able to make profits or monetization or keep growing in your career, right? So how we can be different? How are we really, really different? So if you look at, there are so many people, that difference, when you play on that difference, is where personal innovation starts to work for you. So if you look at, this part, right? The map of the world, right? We call it any given point of time. Right now you use GPS. How does GPS tell you any position? It is any given point will not be the same as another point, because the latitude and longitude will be different. So if you watch, there are two things. One is where you are is defined by these different points. This point is not the same as this point, and it is the intersection. Like that, in human beings, we have these points, we have these exact points, we have these different aspects which we can exactly measure. And what do they tell us? They tell us who you are, how you are different, how you do things differently, how you grow differently, how do you create results, how do you become indispensable. Indispensable is you cannot be replaced easily. When you understand these latitudes and longitudes about your own self, and you understand that intersection, that's where you can start changing the game for your life. How do we do it? So I basically am from the behavioral science field, and we use a lot of behavioral data. There are simple tools, there are a lot of world-class tools which are available to help you exactly find these points, So for example, if you watch here, person A, so these are different aspects on which we measure it. Like I told you, the latitude, longitude and all that, right? In person A, if you see, he's here. But for a person B, he's here. He's more tough, he's more patient. He's got the skills to really pursue a task. Whereas this person is more a people person. The same way, we can even plot groups. If you take a group of people, for example, 40 of you on the webinar, we can exactly say where you are, who you are. And we can also say, how you move, what is your way of working, how you do things differently, all of that. So we today are blessed with science, which gives us information about so many aspects. We can know so much about other technology, but I think the most important right now is to know about our own selves. So we have science to support us, to tell us, where we are, how to move, what's different in us. How do we generally see these things? I'm just giving a little overview. So any output, which is your behavior, anything you do out in the world, it's basically a combination of input and process. So when you say input, how do you process life? When something happens outside, like the bull is hitting, right? There are different people will take it differently. So how do you take it? How do you really watch it and say, okay, this is what is happening, a black object, so many distance. Are you very, very, data specific, or are you just looking at the big picture? Are you intuitive? Then how do you process it? Do you process it by a lot of thinking, or do you process it with a lot of feeling? So based on these things, we actually are able to plot saying, which kind of a person is which way. So if you look at, right, there are some people who are shy, withdrawn, they follow rules, but there are some people who are aggressive, but they're also decisive. So, based on this, you can exactly say who and what kind of a person you are. From that, we can also talk about what kind of jobs match, because every job has a certain skill that can help it do very, very well. If you have that skill, you will naturally be good at that. So based on these, quadrants, we can also talk about, which kind of a person will be good for which kind of a job, right? Now, also we can, from these behavioral aspects, we can also understand where you are, which is natural to you, which is your growth zone. For example, if you watch here, these are all your growth zones. If you are here, but opposite to you, let's say suddenly market says you should be like this, but if you try and do it, it's too opposite to you. It may not be useful for you. We can also identify such things. So now, you know, a lot of times people say, okay, I know, okay, I am here. How do I make the growth? How do I, you know, really jump? So that's where we use the 1% strategy. What is this 1% strategy? You know, growth, as we say, Rome was not built in one day, right? But if you can adopt the 1% strategy, which is, you know, you're good at something and you just improve it 1% one day, and you do that 1% plus 1% plus 1% plus 1% for 365 day becomes 365%. So imagine in a market where people are, you know, spending all their time on only, you know, entertaining themselves, busy with other things. Even if in a whole day of 24 hours, you can take that 1% improvement in your own strengths, you know, working on your own core behaviors, your core innovation areas, improve that by 1% every single day, which will not take more than even 10 minutes for you. If you can do that for 365 days, there is, believe me, no competition, right? Now, principle of intersection, like I was talking to you about, right? Like the latitude and longitude and all of, if you look at my own journey, so I basically studied in Delhi, though I'm a Tamilian, and for me, what I've been able to today get is because of the intersection. So, you know, being from a typical traditional middle class family, you know, with no business background and all of that, they didn't want us to get into business. But the same thing happened for education. The typical thing was go for engineering. So I did have to do that. But in my school and college, you know, I asked, you know, why can I not do engineering plus psychology? And they said it's crazy combination. So I said, okay, I'm not stopping. I know that's my strength. I know that, okay, I love to work with people. I want to understand behaviors. I will do engineering. At the same time, I will also pursue psychology. So actually I did psychology while I was doing engineering in parallel. Like it was crazy, but I loved it. And at the intersection of it today, if you see, I'm from the spiritual space as well. So all of these combination, when I look at, it's a very, very, very unique combination. And I had this whole adventure spirit in me. So if you look at, you know, we actually do programs which are so unique that people across the world want to come. You saw in the last photographs, right? Because we actually do learning through travel. We're talking about science, we're talking about spirituality, we're talking about business, growth, everything, but with travel. Imagine you go to the best places in the world, have the best experience, and still grow. Those intersections, that what you see is your own unique strengths, you know, where you can play and you combine them. That is where it really helps you grow. So intersection, that mindset, you know, where you don't think only in one direction, you develop one direction, at the same time you pick up the best from different directions and combine it. That is where innovation starts to start rolling for you. You know, it takes away competition. How, what can actually intersect your own experience, what kind of things you like, what kind of lessons you've had in life, what skills you have, every, and you know what, believe me, every single individual has any of these things. Even if you can bring 2 or 3 combinations together, you will find that golden spot. But yes, there is a little work to be done here. You have to sit down and really take your life like a project. You have to really look at your life like, wow, I really want to be successful no matter what, and start looking at, this is a very beautiful principle. Just list out these things. What experiences do I have? What preferences do I have? What lessons do I have? What skills do I have? If you don't have, bring them on, learn it, pick it up. But when you combine these 2 or 3 things, right, you will arrive at that golden spot which others cannot match so easily. Like what we say in business, right? People can copy your idea, they can copy your content, they can copy your logo, everything, but they cannot copy your style of doing, like, you know, the passion with which you do, which is this, right? So I don't know if I can still show you the video. I wanted to actually show you the video of one of these intersections. How many of you love ice creams? Anybody loves ice creams here? If you can just quickly unmute and tell me. Anybody who loves ice creams here?
We love, ma'am.
Okay. So, you know, ice cream, such a regular thing, you know, all the time there is ice cream. But how do you do an innovation in ice cream? It could be flavor, you know, it could be the color. Can you see this?
No, ma'am, we couldn't.
You can't? Okay, one
Yeah.
second. Can you see it now?
Yes, ma'am.
This is my son. So he goes and asks for an ice cream. So did you see that video? So something very simple, you know, ice cream, you don't have to innovate it only with flavor. You don't have to innovate it only with, you know, some big food technology. It is as simple as you like to dance, you like to do something different, you like to play tricks. You do that intersection, you know what you have, you practice it, you build it, you know, build your skill there and you combine it with different things, right? Now, if you look at this place is in Thailand and Bangkok, and it's like all the time people are going there, like there is no beating there. There are so many guys, but each one has a different style. So personal innovation is, you know, truly, you know, the way where we really can keep playing, you know, no matter what's happening in the, you know, things around us, it will just keep moving us. I will just go back to the thing. So that's what I meant by flow intersection. Flow is when you're natural, you know, you're not trying to fake it. You're not trying to be someone. You have practiced it so much and you are able to see that intersection. Like if you see this guy who was doing the ice cream, it didn't look like he was putting too much effort. He was very naturally doing it. He's practiced it so much. And the intersection, so beautiful. Like he loves it. He has a style to do it. And he uses the best combination, like ice cream for that. Amazing, right? So innovation basically has to always add value for someone. It's not only just for yourself, but for others. Like, you know, if you look at my son, like he enjoyed it so much, he keeps saying, you know, whenever we say, where do you want to go? He says Bangkok because of that ice cream guy. Like actually, if you see, there was no interaction, but he loved the whole surprise element, the whole concept of how he did it. So you think that guy is not even, you know, big educated or anything. So this whole personal innovation is about fun. You know, if you can start playing your life like, you know, it's a fun, let's discover what is it that I can do like this, where I can have fun, I can help others also, you know, experience that value. What can I do? That's where you can really start seeing it, you know, move for you. So, okay, so first of all, I think one of the, like I showed you, right? It is possible today with science to use very simple behavioral tools to understand your own professional map. Who are you? What is it that you're different in? What are the kind of things that you can do differently? What is your core nature? All of that. But what if sometimes, you know, people come and say, okay, I cannot right now, you know, go for a professional help. Like, for example, it will hardly take you 15 minutes to actually take that kind of a tool. And for us to really work with you, maybe it'll take a day and we can actually give you your map. But let's say you can't do that. Should you stop with personal innovation? No. You can still do that. Even if you don't have that behavioral map, which can exactly tell you what's your latitude, longitude, don't worry. It starts with your own commitment to say, you know, I want my life to be fun. I want my life to be interesting. I always want to be in demand. I want to be the value person in the market. I don't want to run after jobs and clients. I want things to come to me because I'm valuable. You need to be like a magnet. If you have that attitude, you can still start without this. But I would definitely recommend, if you have the opportunity, you know, definitely get these behavioral tools for yourself so that you can really, you know, see who you are and get very clear idea. It's like, you know, when you use a GPS and you know, I'm exactly here, it helps you to move faster. But without that also, we can still travel. That's not a problem. So I'll help you with quickly what we can do. Every day, if you can actually spend that 2 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever time you can in understanding your strengths, weakness, threat, and opportunity in these 4 dimensions, because any job, any activity you take involves these things. There are people who have an eye for detail. For example, here, check. There are people who actually promote things, you know, sell things, they talk about things, market things, that is here. And there are jobs where you have to take decisions. There are jobs where you have to really do the thing. You know, nobody's watching, you still have to do it. So you need to watch yourself in these 4 dimensions. You know, anything you take in the market will work on these 4 dimensions. So where are you? what kind of strengths you have in aspects of checking, like how detailed you are, how much is your precision. And one very important thing is there's no right and wrong. You should honestly know where you are, right? So what are your strengths in each of these dimensions? What are your weaknesses in each dimension? What are your threats and what are your opportunities? So at this point, when you start, you may not know about threats and opportunity. It's okay. But I will definitely recommend every day, you know, just if you can make a note of this quadrant, the 4 things, and every day just spend 2 minutes to say, okay, in my day today, whatever I did, where was I really good? Was I good at checking? Was I good at promoting? Was I good at deciding? Was I good at doing? And what about the people around me? And what am I seeing in the market? For example, today, you know, the doing part, you would see that there is so much automation come. So if you're a doing person and you really love to do, you know, you're like very detailed workaholic, you really get into something and, you know, start to do, and you see in the market automation is happening, does it mean you will not be in demand? No, you need to watch saying if doing is your strength, what is the next doing thing in demand? For example, you know, I know this guy and he's a creative artist and he's like very, very good with this, you know, pencil sketch drawing kind of a thing. And actually that market is quite really disrupted. Okay, with all the animation and everything come today, you can just go to your software and click on a sketch and you can give the, you know, picture for yourself. But where do you need today people who sketch? So he looked at this when we worked with him, and if you will, you know, it's so beautiful. Today he works with one of these, you know, companies which is into creating these movies like, you know, Marvel and all of that. And he's one of the key resources because, you know, when those images and animation come to him, he can exactly spot, you know, what's really good, what's not, and really make those changes on the software. So what he had to upgrade is to look at saying, I'm very good at doing in the art space. What is the next thing happening in the market? The software in that dimension, and he's today, you know, in the animation field doing extremely well. So if you can actually take note of this 4-pointer, you know, this 4 quadrant, and watch your day and know what is it that you're really good at, what is it that you're not, you will be able to really look at the market and say what's happening, what are these opportunities, and what is it that I will match with where I will really do extremely well. Next one is how will you nurture that? You know, if you found those golden spots in you, how will we nurture it? As I said, right, every day is very, very important. It's not someday, any day, you know, one day, it's about every day. What do you see? Every single thing you do in the brain. So I'll just show you a small example. If all of you can just, I can't see many of you on the video, but if you can just put your hand forward, you know, just put it forward. If you can see, right? Just put it forward. Maybe just one of you can say if you are actually doing it. Just put your hand forward.
Yes, we are doing it, ma'am.
And take your thumb and join it with the index finger. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay. And please put it on your nose. Yeah. So if I actually do this in person, I can't see you right now. Across the globe, when I do this in person, you know, most of the room puts their, you know, this index finger and this thumb where I put it, not where what I said. And that's exactly what happens. So I don't know where you are right now because I can't see your videos, but I wanted to show you the power of the brain that, you know, it exactly copies. We have something called mimicry cells. It exactly copies what is happening around you. What are you seeing? What are you hearing? What are you experiencing? What kind of things do you feed? So I think one very important thing that if you really want to be very successful in life and, you know, especially in the personal innovation space, is to really watch what are you consuming? What are you putting into your head? Like what kind of things you are seeing every day, hearing. And I think most important, if we know this principle, is to be amidst exceptional doers. Even if you know, a street hawker could be a small, you know, food cart guy, but if he does something extremely well, watch him because your brain is actually copying it. If you know some big business leader who does something extremely well, speaks extremely well, watch him. It is not about small, big, it's about look at exceptional doers and be around them, you know, spend time, allow your inputs, you know, you're doing, seeing, watching, everything to observe that because that is actually reprogramming you. It's actually changing who you are. It's actually helping you become better in that direction, right? And most important is try the mix and match. For example, I think many of you are in MBA, right? Let's say you're in the finance stream, but you love music. Just try and experiment. Is there a certain music that makes you do maths better? Maybe you will be the next startup, you know, talking about how do you enhance mathematical abilities through music. don't get stuck with only what you're doing. Like if you have something, interesting that you're doing, try mix and match and try different options, play it like a game, call your friends, experiment that combination. So I think you've got to really become experimental, joyful, playful like children, and really experiment your own skills, right? Mix and match. And the most important, I am saying so much, and you're listening, you're putting up so much of effort. Even if you take 1% action from whatever we spoke, just one thing, that will change your life. The most important thing, apart from all of this, what we saw is just take action in any one thing that you found useful, anything, right? And two very, very important things. When you really want to be in this personal innovation space, when you want to grow yourself, I want to give you something called power of 5, the average 5. So scientifically, there have been a lot of studies which talk about you are an average of the 5 people that you spend time with. And there are also leaders who've said that, show me your friends and I'll tell you who you are, right? So it's very important that you consciously design. See, we are not given the choice to choose our, parents and family and all of that, but whatever time we can we choose the environments which grow us, right? For example, I'll tell you my own journey. I started my, this whole journey when I was 13. The good thing that I did is I put myself in environments where there were business leaders, where there were learners, where there were teachers, and they were all like 3 times my age. Like I was just 13 and they would be like 40, 50. And at the age of 15, actually I was coaching business owners. And it was just never for me that I'm like a kid or anything, because I was so much in the environment. I was picking up all of that. So today it comes very naturally, like whatever I nurtured those days, right? Like I constantly keep doing that. Even today, if you look at, if those are connected with me on FB, most of the thought leaders are connected with me. I consciously ensure that my Facebook feeds me what's really happening in the world first, like, the latest. So if anything which is happening in the genome world, like DNA, anything in the climate, like thought leaders, all of that comes to my timeline first, not just the politics and the negative news and all of that, which doesn't change anything in my life. So it's all about the average of what is your environment. So please guard your time, your environment. And the most important one principle I want to tell you is priming. Whenever you are, wherever you are, your environment has an impact. So for example, you're, wanting to go into a marketplace and everybody around is fighting, naturally your moods will go down. Priming is a, natural phenomenon in our brain where what's happening around us will impact us, and not just impact, it will put us into a loop. Please be very, very careful, because you can also use this for your own self. Whenever you feel your time is, unnecessarily getting dragged, identify a few things. It could be music, it could be art, it could be anything. It could be talking to a friend where you know that, okay, if I do this, it will take me out of that loop. Always have 3 or 4 things handy with you, which do not allow you to get sucked into, your environments. Be very conscious, guard your time, guard your environment. If you can do this, you will naturally be growing. If you are actually growing, there are 2 traps to avoid. One is called I know that. This is, I think, the most dangerous words in the world. The biggest of the leaders and the businesses have failed because of this attitude of I know that. No matter how great you are, if you look at real leaders, they will always be humble. They will always be interested in learning. It's very amazing. Like, I know a friend of mine whose business Ratan Tata has invested. Even today, he spends that 1 hour a month listening to him rather than telling him. So I know that is the most dangerous thing that we need to really keep away. And again, when we want to succeed, right, most of us think success is about avoiding failure. It's the other way around. Because when you are, really able to see the failure, take it and move, right, you've actually got a golden lesson. So don't run away from failure, that thinking it's going to take you to success. Actually fail. If you, for example, you want to speak French, look silly, fail, no problem, because you will be speaking better than someone who doesn't speak at all, right? So these 2 are very, very important traps that if you avoid and you practice those things that we've been talking about in personal innovation, you will be able to move. So what you do today will shape what you have tomorrow. So and I told you, right, I started my journey with being the donkey and actually ended up being what I am today, where we're working with so many business leaders across the world. So many, I have personally been doing a lot of products and a lot of, projects on the innovation space. If all of that can happen for me from Donkey, right, it can definitely happen for you all who are so serious about what you're really wanting to do. So have a great year, learning, growing. And I must tell you, you know this today. If you can take action today on this, you will be able to really have a smooth sail in your life, because I think I'll tell you, this COVID thing is just a trailer for us to really get ready, because these things are going to constantly keep happening, something or the other. But if you are on your personal innovation journey, you will be always ready. You'll be more excited, because like I told you, right, I had almost 6 workshops in different parts of the world. And when it got halted, right, everybody called and said, oh my God, your workshops are canceled. Oh, there are 30 people, 50 people enrolled, they've paid. I was more excited to say, okay, that's canceled, no problem. I'm ready with the other thing. And I immediately rolled out something else. And I've actually doubled my sales where everybody else is cribbing about no sales. So be ready, be out there, have fun in life. Personal innovation is the way forward. So I think that's there. If you have any questions.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was a very impressive session, and then it's so energetic and overall. So there is a question from Subaya Ilayaraja. So what factors lead us for personal innovation?
Can you repeat the question?
What factors lead us for personal innovation?
What factors lead us?
Yes.
Okay, so it's here. I was showing you, right? Factors for personal innovation is here.
So Bea, hopefully you'll be you get your answers.
So
And,
it's basically your skills. That is what you can really do. Okay, especially on the technical space, like what is that exact thing you can do? Like for example, a barber is also a skill, right? Like it's a technical skill. There's a technical specification to how you should cut. So skill, that particular skill of yours, which is core. How do you actually present it and actually use it with people, which is your social skills? How do you complete it, your project skills, and how well you efficiently do it? That is your execution skill, right? The same way, traits is who you are while you are doing that skill. How are you experiencing it while you're doing it? Are you doing it with curiosity? Are you doing it like a robot? Are you just executing somebody's command? What kind of traits you have? And these traits are very essential to develop. The curiosity, the creativity to try it differently, to ask questions, to think, is there another way? To actually not have something and still do it. So these are very, very essential. And the most important factor is the mindset. Constantly being ready to grow. I like what Sir said, right? Professor Mani said, right? I spoke to him 2 years back, and my 2 years back journey and today it's way different. Like, anybody can see it. And if you take another 2 years before, it was way different. So at no point of time, I'm the same person. That's personal innovation. I am constantly moving in the direction I want to move, no matter what's happening in the market. Did I answer that question?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So, and also there is another question from Jyotika Kashyap. So
Yes.
she asked like how to make ourselves as a positive speaker with important points.
How to make ourselves as a positive speaker.
Yes.
Okay, so very, very interesting. Can I just take a moment and share? Okay, so in school, like till I think 10th standard, would you believe I was someone who never spoke to someone next to me, even if they sat with me for 10 hours? Okay, and today I've actually, I think, covered over 1,000+ sessions across the world with all kinds of different age group, different categories of people and all. So if I have to really practically answer that, I will say speak to the person next to you and speak to many people around you with a lot of awareness. And when you can hear them say, oh wow, just get on the stage and do it with more people. That's what is about speaking. It's first starting with what you have, the small. It's small plus small plus small which makes the big. It's not actually, today I'm very sad to say, like, people just want to take the shortcut and jump straight onto something, but they don't build the fundamental. So it's very simple. You have your friends around, you have some strangers around, you go on a bus, you go to a train, anywhere. Just strike a conversation and make it very useful to them, make it interesting to them. Your brain will get into a habit of being an expert speaker. after that, it's just about finding the opportunity to get on the stage. Even if you fail, it's okay. The first time I went on stage, I actually fell down, and actually I turned around, the whole crowd got up and they looked at me, and I said, that's the lesson. Every time you fall, get up. And that's where I had the, claps. So don't worry, just wherever you are, start there, do it exceptionally well, take it big. Yeah.
Great, ma'am. Great, ma'am. So hopefully that's all about the questions. And other than questions, there were so many praising about you, about how you doing. Your session was so mesmerizing, and then it's so good to hear from you. So these are the very much praising comments that we are getting in the.
Sorry, I'm not able to see that because I'm outside. I didn't want to disconnect. So I really want to thank all the people here, because what we did right now is also that, like, there's a breakdown in my area where there's no network, no power. I think everything's gone. But we could have just, everybody could have said, oh, it's gone. But we've actually, I'm sitting in the terrace and trying to see where maximum data is there. And you guys have really been patient, cooperating despite the pause. You didn't really lose the interest. So just continue this attitude. When things come like that, find new ways. Just be on the solution, the result. And I really want to ensure, 40 of you, when things go wrong, you will be ready in your life. You will not be the ones who will give up. Please take one small thing and grow your life.
And also there is one more question from a participant, ma'am. So Mr. Vijay has been asked that how to make the topic of the speech interesting and interactive.
Okay, so interesting and interactive. Okay, first it starts with interesting should be interesting for who is listening. It may be very interesting, but is it really interesting for them? Is it something useful to them? So always have a direction on who you're giving it to. So look at, if for example, I write from 3-year-olds to 70 plus, I've worked with people. So for me, it comes naturally to know about people. But I think first point will be get to know people. So, be around. If you want to talk to students, be around students, know what are their challenges, who are those people, what do they like, what is interesting to them, then think of the topic. What are their challenges, pain points, right? The same way, how do you make it interactive? Naturally as human beings, we are interactive. We don't have to put too much effort. The problem is over years of, social conditioning, schooling, all of that, we've become like boxes, we have to interact like this. There is no like this. You just have to get back to just being there, for that person, like how you are with somebody who really matters to you. So I think take off that thing of it has to be and get into how can I make it, rather than, anything in your life saying has to be. Try and make it saying, how can I, change the question. So practice it. I think all of you are genius and all of you have your own strength. Like being in behavioral science, I know every dot in that map I showed you is very, very unique. Every dot has golden opportunities. Each one of you is like that, right? So look at that dot and start to tell people, start to interact with people around you and practice it, because, your brain is one of the most genius things. Every time you practice, it will self-correct. Our problem is we don't have the patience to do that self-correction. We instantly want it from someone, some shortcut. You can get it. I'm not saying no, but don't worry about it. Allow your brain to do. Doing is the key, not knowing. I hope that helps.
Thank you, ma'am. So any of the participants who want to directly ask the questions, you can take off your mic, unmute, and then you can start asking. And one question from Malini, ma'am. Yeah. So most of that I came nervous while talking to the person whom I value more. How to get rid of that?
Come again.
Most of the time, she came nervous while talking to the person whom she values more. How to get rid of that?
Okay, so the challenge is not that you value them more. My understanding is you have a fear that do they value it, or will they be with you, or would you hurt them? Like, it is actually a fear which is holding you back from really being in discussion with them. Watch that. What is it which is keeping you away? As I was just telling the last person who was asked, right? We are naturally good at everything. There are things which come and stop us. Rather than focusing on what's the problem, look at what is stopping me, because naturally we like to interact with people, right? But when there is someone we value so much, what is stopping me? Is it a fear? Is it maybe an incident? Is it a past experience? And if it is something which has happened, most often, we give a meaning. We say, okay, this happened, now I will never do this. That's the worst we can do, because one thing that happened need not be the same thing which will happen again. So take off that and try again. So I don't know your case here, but most often when we work with people, we see it is an underlying fear which holds us back.
Hope that answer has been satisfied for you, Malini. And any other questions from the participants? Okay, so I would like to thank you, ma'am. So you really made us strongly believe that innovation is very simple and there is no age bar to be innovative. And also your session made us to think and question ourselves that who we really are and what we need to do to come up with every other traits we have been doing, and then how to be very optimistic in terms of all the critical situations. And the informations about the Train 18 was very innovative. I mean, very informative that I haven't really heard it from anywhere else. So thank you so much. And also thank you for enlightening with the key drives of the personal innovation in the future markets, and teaching us how we can be different, and what are the personal innovation factors that are being there. So thank you so much,
just
ma'am.
one request, if people have the access, I would definitely say, actually try and get to one of the behavioral tools. If you want, you can even reach out to me and see
Sure,
it.
ma'am.
Very revealing. So if you have the opportunity to do that, if you can't afford, or and it's not very costly at all, it's definitely less than your jeans or shirt that you buy. But still, even if you don't want to do it, get started. So get to the real doing.
Sure, ma'am. Sure, ma'am. So any other questions, if the participants would like to know, that you can drop it in the chat box. We can mail it in 1 or 2 days, even if it is not going to happen in this session. And thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much for all the participants who've been patiently waiting due to all the technical errors that's been happened. And thank you so much for the session, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Pleasure being here.
Thanks, ma'am.